Need to beverage myself before this starts.
I was gonna say the same thing. Bush.
Welcome to
Hello, Jenny, and welcome to Die. And you're especially welcome, Jenny, because I know that you did your civic fucking duty and went out there and voted. Alright, you weren't some piece of shit that just fucking stayed at home and didn't fucking vote. You're the reason that the world is the way it is right now because you didn't get out and fucking vote. Go out and fucking vote. It's too late now.
I must
It's too late now. It's too
feel-
late now. But you should have done it. You should have fucking listened to me, and now I have to kill you.
Listen, I feel attacked.
It's fine. Good. I
Yeah,
hope
well,
you feel attacked.
you're in the minority,
Listen,
I think,
no,
in this
hey,
conversation.
I am a human fucking being, and I feel attacked. I'm triggered.
Are you a United States citizen, Josh?
Listen, I'm a citizen of the world, okay?
Are you a United States citizen?
I'm a human being
Just
That
answer the
grew
question,
up
yes or no.
on this planet.
Yes or no?
All right? And I'm a citizen of the world. I'm a traveler
It's a
of the universe.
Simple,
Okay?
simple yes or
No,
no
I don't
question. Are you
believe-
a citizen of the United
Hey,
States?
your laws don't apply to me, okay? I have claimed my sovereignty. My birth here on this planet gives me universal rights.
Cat, I think he's an illegal.
Yeah.
This whole sovereign citizen thing. Don't ever.
Dude, no.
Don't even try to
you're-
look that up.
You're not a fucking sovereign citizen bullshit. Go vote.
Alright, so welcome to the episode, guys.
This is episode 2.
This is part 2 of...
Yeah, well,
episode,
it's...
like,
hey, listen, it's not
4?
important. Is it? Yeah, I guess so. Episode 4, part 2. Spoogston the second. So we recorded this all in one big go, so it might seem a little asinine. We're just going to be talking and then suddenly...
Doesn't
boop,
matter, yeah.
Spooky
You'll
story.
forget
So
30 seconds in.
yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. So I guess I can chew through a couple stories. I've got several that involve my old house, as I like to call it. Now this house was ancient. It was built in like the mid 1800s, and it used to harbor some of those who worked for no money, if you know what I'm saying.
The Amish?
Yes. But they didn't work for themselves. So it's an old fucking house. And one of those houses where like everything creaks, you know, you like pull open the fucking drawer and it's like, and you walk through the house and it's like, you know, you open your front door and it's like, So a couple stories. Just in general, the house wasn't really spooky, like alone, but the basement was absolutely terrifying. Like I can even remember. So like normally when you're a kid, like you can be like, Jesse, are you fucking playing Xbox again?
No, I'm not. I'm just looking at something real quick.
I'll punch you in the dick.
Go ahead.
So when you're a kid and you go into like spooky areas, you know, like your parents are like, oh, come on, you know, there's not a monster under your bed, right? Like if your dad or your mom or whoever did that shit for you as a kid, if they're around, it's like better, right? It's like not as scary because they're there, right?
Right.
They're there.
They are there. They're there. So that was not the case. I can remember, like, you could bring in my whole family. You could bring in the old Amish family that lived there. You could bring in a fucking whole truck full of piñatas and try and liven up the place a little bit.
Piata.
A piñata. The basement was fucking terrifying. Didn't fucking matter who was in it, right? And I specifically remember the feeling coming from behind the stairs to the basement.
Oh,
Like-
it's the best place.
It's one of those creepypasta stories where there's actually a dude living in there.
Maybe. But you could like feel like you could turn your body and there was just this sensation that went along your body that emanated from behind the stairs. And it was like you can just like feel it touching you with its eyes. It was so intense.
Delicious.
So the basement was demonic, hellish, in a place I never wanted to be. We probably lived there for a couple of years, and I think I only went down to the basement twice the whole time I lived there. Yeah, I just refused to go down there. Anywho, that's kind of where I feel like a lot of the energy came from in the house. The biggest thing that happened, I'd hear noises and shit occasionally, but as a kid, when that's the norm, you think that shit like that is regular. So, like, I grew up in this house. Like, it's all I knew. I've got very, very distant memories of a different house, but, like, this was, like, kind of during my formative years, right? So, noises and creaking footboards and shit at night, like, that was all pretty normal to hear. So I didn't really think anything of it. What scared the fucking shit out of me was one night I'm with, and Michael can back this up. So Mike was with me that night, and anyone who knows us knows who Michael is. But so he's like my oldest friend, right? We couldn't have been more than 6 years old, I would say. We were probably more like 7. And we were hanging out. My room was upstairs in the attic, right? So we had a basement, we had a main level, and we had like an entire like finished attic as well. That you could walk around in, and that's where my brother and I stayed, and we had bunk beds. So there were like 2 windows on 2 different sides of the house. There was a window that overlooked the back of the house and a window that overlooked the side of the house. And our bed was next to the window that overlooked the side of the house that also happened to be where our driveway was. So our driveway ran up the side of the house from the highway and went really, really far and met up with a shed. And then we had a little sidewalk that came out from the driveway and wrapped around to the back of the house. And we would always walk in the back door. And the back door was how we came and went. So the window over the back door was pivotal in this story. It's really, really, really late. It's like way past our bedtime. But we're up in my room.
It's like 9 o'clock.
It's at least 9:05. And I think it was closer to midnight. And we had a really, really heavy solid wood back door, and it like made this dragging sound and clunk, when it opened and shut. And I can hear someone, open the fucking door. Right? I'm like, what the fuck? Someone's leaving. What's going on? So we like bustle over to the window that overlooked the back of the house, and you can see this guy. He's wearing all white, and he's got a baseball cap on. And I can only describe it as, from being that high up in the air and being the age I was, I could only really describe it as being like a baseball player's outfit. So I see this guy, he's walking out the back of the house, and I expect him, as everyone who leaves the house, I expect him to take that little sidewalk and go over to the driveway, get into a car and leave, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not scary. It's not scary at all at this point. I'm thinking this was a family friend, maybe someone I didn't know. I don't know. So he walks out the back, and he continues right past the little sidewalk. And he just keeps on going. And if you keep on going, you meet a fence that leads into this large field where the rest of our property was. And there was a little gate on the fence that you could go through to get back there, a tiny little person-sized gate. And he gets to the gate, and I'm like, man, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, it's midnight. What the fuck's he going out there for? Like, we lived basically in the middle of nowhere, actually close to Bollinger County. Mm-hmm. And I see him reach out for the gate, and he motions with his arm like he opened it, but the gate stayed still. And in that split second, I was just like dumbstruck. Still not scared. I was just like, this guy is the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen. Like, surely to God he has to know that he did not just open the gate. And he, like I said, he makes the motion, and then he just steps right fucking through the gate and continues walking out into the field. The gate never opened, alright?
So he was able to open the door at your house, but not the gate?
Yeah, so I don't know if the door actually opened or not, because I only ever heard it.
Right.
So I don't know. That's where I've kind of analyzed it myself as well and thought, what the fuck? So I thought maybe if I had opened the window and listened, maybe I could have heard the little clank of the gate opening.
Right.
But
Maybe.
it didn't actually move. So I don't know. But you can ask Mike. Same thing happened. It's maybe it wanted us to go out there and see. Maybe that's why it made the noise in the house. I don't know. But when that happened, we collectively shat our pants. We freaked the fuck out and like tried to rationalize it using our little kid brains, and it just didn't work. And the next day, I remember we couldn't wake my mom up because God fucking forbid my mom catches us awake at midnight. The next day, we're like, Mom, last night we saw a guy and he did this crazy shit. Was there a guy over? And she's like, no.
She's like, what are you talking about? No, absolutely not. Don't tell your father.
Yeah, so she brushed it all under the rug for us, right? So I will say this now. Parents, if you have children and they see spooky shit, there's a fine line there. Don't tell them they're dumbasses, but don't really buy into it either, because you don't want to confirm the fears. There's a fine line. You can say, listen, I believe that you think you saw something. I believe that.
That would have pissed me off.
Or maybe you can just say, I believe you saw something, but perhaps there's a different explanation, right? Maybe it's not as scary as you think. And then, try and smooth it over from there.
Right. I think it depends on the kid.
Because my mother just dismissed it entirely like I was a fucking idiot and I was making shit up, and that pissed me off so hard that she was so dismissive. And I realize now, she had a different view on it. Because later, and this is another story I wanted to tell. Later, after we move out of the house, this is really short too. After we move out, she's like, oh, yeah. Because I brought it up later when I was older, and she's like, oh, yeah, totally. No, that house was way fucking haunted. She's got several of her own stories. She's like, that house was haunted as fuck, man. And I was like, well, Mom, what the fuck? I bring this shit up to you, and you, tell me I'm an idiot, but I'm right. She's like, oh, no, I fucking do you right. She's like, but I didn't want to, scare the shit out of you and tell you. She's like, man, shit happened there that you don't even know about, man. I was like, okay, enlighten me. She's like, yeah. So your room's upstairs, right? In the attic? I was like, yeah. She was like, there was, multiple times that I could, hear fucking noises and shit coming from up there. She's like, and I thought it was you kids, being shitheads and being, up past your bedtime. She's like, and I'd just stroll up there. She's like, and a mom... She's like, as a mother, when your kids are fake sleeping, there's a difference. You can tell. She's like, and you kids were fucking dead asleep when I went up there. She's like, and I started, paying attention to the sounds. She's like, I heard all kinds of crazy shit coming from up there. She's like, I could hear people talking. She's like, I could hear people walking around. I could hear, an old rocking chair on the wooden floor, the fucking she's like, I heard an old-timey radio sometimes. She's like, and I was like, you just fucking let me sleep up there? While all this shit's happening?
I was getting ready to say that.
What the fuck? You lunatic? It's not, you're just letting the fucking demonic entities in the attic just fucking indoctrinate me in my sleep with fucking whatever fucking they're fucking whispering into my ear as a kid. So one time something happened to me, right? I don't remember what it was, and I just now remembered this. Something happened and I woke up, and ironically this was right after I got done playing Resident Evil 2. So Resident Evil 2 had just dropped and it scared the shit out of me. Scared the living fuck out of me.
I couldn't even look at the fucking instruction booklet for the first one. That gave me nightmares.
Yeah, it was
a true story.
Goddamn scary. I mean, as shitty as the graphics were, it was real to me. All right. It was real to me. Goddammit. So I'm scared, right? Something wakes me up in the middle of the night, and my brother and I, we shared a room, and I remember shaking the shit out of my brother and be like, Jared, wake up right now, right? And he's not waking up. So I thought he was faking, right? I was like, you fucking bitch, you're awake. And I grab his fucking eyeballs and peel his fucking eyelids open, and it's just white, right? It's just fucking white. and they're like shaking and going back and forth because he was obviously in REM sleep. And I just shit my fucking pants, man. Like, because I just got done with fucking Zombieville 3.0, right? And I'm like, oh, fuck, zombie! Like, I freaked the fuck out. It's like, zombie in my bed! Zombie in my bed! And I'm like, run downstairs. And I remember waking up my mom. I was like, Mom, something fucking wrong with Jared. He's turning into a zombie. He's turning into a zombie right now. It's fucking happening right now. And she's like, no, he's just asleep. And I was like, no. But he had like sleepwalking problems and shit. He was a really heavy sleeper. That's basically all the stories from my old house. Speaking of houses, you want to talk about our old house in St. Louis?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, why don't you jump it off?
Oh, don't forget. Sorry to interrupt, but that fucking house in Cape too. Remember that night?
Oh my god, I forgot all about that. Yeah. Okay.
So we lived in a house in South City, St. Louis, for a little while. We had a couple of small classic things happen. What were we there, a year or so? Wasn't that long. I think you had more experiences there, Josh, than I did. We had, a door that would always be open to the basement. You could lock it, you turn around 5 minutes later and it's wide open. And it was kind of just one of those things where we agreed to just deal with it. Yeah.
Remember, the door was always silent. Like, you could never hear it opening. You could never hear the door.
Yeah.
Like, you would literally be in the same room and you turn around and the fucking door's open. You're like, son of a bitch. It was the door to the basement, right?
I don't like that.
Yeah. And the door to the basement was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I felt that the majority of the things that happened there, at first it was small shit like that where I was like, man, I mean, I'm just losing my mind, whatever. Like, it's no big deal. But the things that were larger continued to happen when I was home alone. So Josh and I lived there, and we also lived with 2 other people, but it was always when I was the only person there that the weird shit would happen. I'd like be sitting on the couch and something just flipped the trash can lid over.
Yeah.
Like
that happened more than once.
Yeah. We had a dog there. We had Artemis, and then we had a couple cats, and there was an upstairs. And the scariest thing that ever happened to me there, I genuinely thought that someone was in the house with me. All of the animals just did the telltale poof thing where all the hair stands up on their spine, and Artemis is like down on the ground in like growling stance. And the cats are at the base of the stairs to the upstairs. And there's a couple bedrooms up there. And that's where our other roommates lived, but they weren't home. And the cats are just
I wasn't home for this either.
No, you weren't home either. And I was just sitting on the couch, like, watching TV or something when this just happened out of the blue. I didn't even hear anything. The animals are what alerted me. But the cats are, like, unwilling. They're like stone at the base of the stairs, unwilling to move, and they're just like doing the cat growl thing, like a cat's in a fight or something.
I've never heard that before in my life. Fun fact.
It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
And so I was starting to panic because I was like, holy shit, like someone's in this house. And I guess adrenaline kicks in and you're in fight or flight mode. And Josh keeps weapons in the house. So instead of leaving and calling 911 thinking someone was in my house, I decided that I was just going to shoot whoever was in my house.
Solid plan.
And so I took Josh's gun and I went upstairs and I cleared the upstairs and there was no one there. Not a fucking thing. And none of the animals would follow me up there. They were like, fuck it, you're on your own, But nothing was out of the ordinary whatsoever. There were no sounds. I never once heard a thing. It was just strictly the animals' reaction that freaked me out so bad because I've never seen them that scared before.
Yeah. So I guess I had something kind of similar happen, but it was just me. None of the animals really knew what was going on. And you were gone. So we lived in like an area that wasn't really the ghetto, but like...
was surrounded by the ghetto.
Yeah, like you know, it's like if the ghetto was your mom and she was one of those helicopter moms. Like, yeah, this was kind of that situation. Like, you couldn't fucking take a step without the fucking ghetto being right there. So naturally, you know, I'm sitting in my house and I see a dark figure like bolt across the doorway in the kitchen. And I knew our back door was kind of janky, which was also where the back door was kind of in the kitchen. So I thought someone might have come in the back door and like run into one of the front bedrooms. And so I'm like, oh shit, black dude in the house. So like all within the span of like half a second, I go through all that in my head and I stand up and I like, after I see it like run across, I yell, I'm like, hey, you know, hey motherfucker. And I like run into the kitchen and like into the bedroom. And there's just no one. There's no one there. And I'm like, suddenly the hair on my neck stands up because I'm like, oh shit. I didn't actually see a person. I just saw like a person thing, you know, person shaped object come running out of the, you know, running through the kitchen.
You know, I never tried like capturing any of the weird shit that happened there. Like when I was younger, I was in like, you know, ghost hunting groups and stuff like that, and I would take voice recorders with me to weird places, and like I never took the time to do that there, and I don't know why. I think for a long time I thought it was in my head. But...
Maybe. I feel like when you live with a thing, it's okay if you're visiting. Like you can piss the thing off a little bit, then you can just fuck right off, right? You don't gotta worry about it. But like I gotta sleep there.
Right.
I'm not about to like ask this thing if it's planning to like skull fuck me, you know. So
my dad lived in a pretty I guess haunted house. He had a lot of weird stories, and maybe we can have him tell them sometime, but I'd see him, you know, occasionally on the weekends, and I would bring all my ghost hunting gear with me, and, you know, we'd go out to eat, and I'd leave the voice recorder set up, and then back when Audacity was new in my world, I would go and edit it and see what I could find, and I caught some fucking weird shit in that house. Like, scary enough that I was like, when my dad moved out, I was like, hey, you gotta, like, tell them. You should let someone know. Because he'd get woken up in the middle of the night by shit. And
you still have those audio files?
It's on a laptop that I don't think functions anymore.
Feck.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty upsetting. It was like years of stuff. But yeah, so I had set it up.
There's ways you can recover that info.
Maybe. This is old shit. This is like from high school.
You can take it to a place. They can do it for you. They can recover data.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know the old glass doorknobs?
Yeah.
Like the whole knob is like an intricate shaped piece of glass, and they always sit kind of loose in the seating of the door handle.
Those are the jingly doorknobs. The fucking
And so I'm sitting there late one night. We went out to eat at some Mexican place, and I'm trying to figure out what this sound is. And so I had the voice recorder set up in the middle of his bed on his bedroom, and I had shut the door behind us. And so I go back into his room, and I'm just like flopping stuff around and throwing stuff around, trying to imitate the noise that I had heard. And I eventually realized that at first it was the faint jiggle of the door handle. And it just increased over the course of like 6 minutes to this like ferocious, like that fucking door handle is gonna fall off. Like it's shaking so violently. And then it just like stopped completely. And then it was silent the entire time we were gone.
I don't like that.
It happened like maybe like 45 minutes after we left, and it happened for like 6 minutes. And yeah. And then like I had to like show my dad that like you're cool sleeping in there, right?
And where was this at?
Belleville, Illinois.
Damn.
And I caught some other weird stuff, some stuff that kind of sounds like voices, but you couldn't really understand what they said. It's not like, you know, a TV show where they're like, the subtitles tell you what the ghost said, but like you can't really tell. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like, I have no idea what the voice was.
Let me tell you about some voices.
Yes. Perfect segue.
Yeah. So this involves the house my mother currently lives in Perryville. This is where I did all of my growing up. I've basically lived in this place from the age of like 9. Yeah, 9 to well into my 20s. 20,
But to
21,
clarify,
22.
it's not the house where the UFO thing happened.
No. So I kind of always knew the basement was fucked up, but coming from the old house where like some real wild shit happened to me, this was like I said, this was like less than normal for me. So like the spooky feelings I got from the basement in this house we moved into was like no big deal for me. And occasionally spooky stuff would happen, like Dylan, a buddy of mine, got like an Xbox cord like tied into his shoe one night, and he like went to stand up and like walk away, and he like ripped his whole fucking Xbox off the shelf, and he's like, oh fuck, I tripped on the cord, and he goes down and he's like trying to like pull the cable from around his shoe, and then that's when he realized it was like tied into his shoelaces, and he didn't tie his shoe all that night. So it's like one of those spooky dooky fucking Xbox in your shoe trick. The first time I heard my name, I think I was 16, right? And of course I'm in the house alone, because that's when spooky shit happens. So I'm not even like in the spooky mindset. I'm not freaked out. I was old enough. I didn't really give a shit. I didn't think anything of it. I was upstairs at the time, and I was cooking myself some din, and I got something going, right? And I'm like, before I really get into this, I need to throw on the thong song so I can fucking really get into my groove here. So I run downstairs to grab my little like iHome thing for my iPod. It was like a little dock. You plug it in, it's like a little boombox, right? And I kept that next to my bed, which was in the basement. So I run downstairs. The stairwell is like its own little hallway, right, going downstairs. It kind of opens up into the basement. There used to be a door at the bottom of the stairs that we just took off. So there's like a door frame there and everything. And the door, or the light switch, is on that wall for the basement, but it's on the other side of the wall. So as you come down the stairs, you just naturally reach your right hand around across your body onto the other side of the wall and flip the light. It's facing into the basement. So you flip that light on with your hand as you come around. It's like that's the way everyone does it, right? You run down the stairs, flip the light on, boom, you're in the basement, right? So I go to do that. I get to the bottom step, and there's like a little landing down there that's a couple feet long, and I'm standing there like I'm still moving, and I go to fucking put my arm around the wall, and I hear someone whisper my name, and it was a female. It was definitely a female. So down the stairs, I'm still moving, all within a split second. Throw my arm around the wall, and I hear Josh, right? And I just freeze. Haven't even turned the light on, right? I'm like, what the fuck? Me being young, I think, oh, everyone's gone, my parents are gone. I don't remember who I was dating at the time, but I know I probably told them I was home alone. And I was notorious for leaving my walkout basement door unlocked. My friends, my girlfriends, they knew that. They knew I left that door unlocked. So I am thinking maybe my girlfriend got froggy and came over and like snuck in my back door, right? Which would have been stupid because I was there alone. But that's my logic, right? So I'm like, haha, and I flip the light on and I jump out. And there's no one there. I'm like, all right. So I systematically go through the whole basement. There's like a little closet. I jump in the closet, turn the light on. There's no one in there. I go around to my bedroom, which was actually like behind the stairs and is a humongous room for a bedroom. It used to be storage and laundry and all that shit. And then we moved all that upstairs. So I go into my bedroom, which is this enormous room. I check my whole room. No one in there. So I'm like, fuck. Oh, wait. Bathroom. So I go across the basement into the bathroom, flip the light on. It's a really tiny bathroom. The like little, like tiny fucking 2x2 shower stall, the curtain's closed. So in my mind, I'm like, motherfucker's in the shower, right? So I go fling the fucking shower curtain, and I say something like, motherfucker, when I fling it open, right? No one. It's fucking no one. I'm like, oh, shit. At that point, hair stands up on the back of my neck. I grab my fucking little eye dock and, like, quad step it up the stairs, moving faster than any man has ever moved out of a basement. I think it took me about 3 steps to get up the all 12 or 13 stairs. I was a little spooked for the rest of the night. I slept on the couch upstairs, right? But I didn't think about it. That never really happened again until years later. I'm like 20 now, so it's like 4 years later. I remember I had like a shit day, and I was taking a shower, and I would like sit down. I'm a pretty big dude, so I sat down in this like little tiny fucking shower stall, and I'm just like letting the water drain on me, right? And it's hot. I've got the heat cranked, and I'm just laying there or sitting there, like knees up into my chest because I can't really stretch out, and I fell asleep. And I remember the same voice in the same whisper right in my fucking ear while I was in the shower. Just does the same thing. Josh! Wakes me up, right? I like sit upright. Water is ice cold on me. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm like freezing to death. And also my arm was hanging out of the shower, and I'm just like fucking half the bathroom is flooded because the water's like dripping off of my arm, right? So I wake up and I kind of clean up the bathroom and shit, and I was like, oh, weird, that was less scary, and I was kind of more thankful for that because it woke me up because I was like getting cold, obviously, and flooding my fucking bathroom. Fast forward a couple more years, I was probably 21, 22, and I was working at the bar for my mother. I was working nights and days, and I remember I worked the night before I had closed. I got home at like 3 in the morning, probably didn't go to bed until like 5 or 6 because I was an idiot, and I had to be at work at 2. Well, actually like quarter till, that's bar time, right? I'm laying in my bed, and once again, in my ear, while I'm asleep, I hear the same thing, the same voice, the same whisper. Josh! Wakes me right up. I sit up, and I thought that time that it was my mother. And then I realized, once I got out of my sleepy stupor, I was like, oh fuck, that wasn't my mom, that was a whisper. And I look at my phone, and I've got like 5 minutes before I'm late to work. And I was like, shit. I just like throw on some clothes, and I go drive into town. Those are the times I've heard my name. Now, there was a more violent thing that kind of happened later, probably a year or so after that, maybe right around the same time.
Now, real quick, I do just want to say that your house, or that house, I used to, okay, so they call it exploding head syndrome or whatever, where right as soon as you fall asleep, like, you'll hear like a loud crash or something. It's not real. It's just like an audio hallucination. That shit
Bright
happened.
flash, loud noise.
Yeah. That shit used to happen to me almost fucking nightly at that house.
It's funny you say that because that shit happened to me too. It still happens to me. Not nearly as often. Like it's maybe once every couple months, if that. Now, still happens. Yeah, but it was all the time when I was there. Like almost every night.
Yeah.
Yep. Funny thing, huh? The more you know. See, folks, if you just talk to your friends about things that are happening to you, this whole time we never knew.
Check on your strong friends.
How did you suck my ass about that? I had an ex-girlfriend, much to the chagrin of Catherine.
I feel like that's a pretty
people have those. People
it's
have
natural.
those. Listen, I'm trying to make it into a story. All right, folks.
How dare you disrespect her like that?
There's only me.
So my ex-girlfriend, she worked at a bank, and she would get up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever. I don't even remember. I was so fucking tired, and go to work if she stayed over at the house, because she worked at a fucking bank, and they have stupid hours. Yeah. Those hours are dumb. And like I said, I bartended, so I would be up until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So she would get up, like I'd come home and she'd be asleep, and I'd go to bed. She'd wake up like an hour later, wake me up and be like, hey, I'm going to work. I'd be like, okay, cool, see you later. And I'd sleep literally until she got off work, which was 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon sometimes. So I remember one night, she's there, I get in bed, and so this was my experience, and I'll tell you what happened afterwards. But so I fall asleep, and then I'm woken up by a hand on my shoulder, right? And I can feel the hand. It's on my left shoulder. So my bed was right up, smack up against, like in a corner, against a wall. And I slept on the side that, like, faced the rest of the room, so I could, like, you know, just swing my legs over and get out of bed. So if you walked up to my bed, you would walk up to the side I slept on. So I'm sleeping on my right side, facing the wall, with my back to the rest of the room, right? And I'm, like, pretty much right on the edge of the bed. So I wake up with someone's hand on my left shoulder, and I think it's her waking me up, right? So I feel the hand on my shoulder, and in my mind I think, okay, she's waking me up to go to work. And then as I kind of realize, like the instant I realized that she had already woken me up and left, like that had already happened at this point, and like the kind of, wait, who the fuck's touching me kind of thing happened in my mind. At that exact moment, I got ripped out of my fucking bed. Like, pulled my shoulder so hard that it pulled me out of bed. Like I said, I was on my side, and it pulled me over, like, across my back, and, like, basically threw me into the floor where I was, like, and I kind of half-ass caught myself. So I'm, like, you know, like, where your bed meets the floor, like, that 90-degree angle, I was, like, in that 90-degree angle, kind of like, you know, hands out, splayed out, like right arm and right leg still on the bed, and then like my left side of the body in the floor, like what the fuck just happened? And being like really pissed off, right? I was still kind of confused as to what the fuck happened. You know, I'm like, someone, so I thought it was somebody, right? I knew Amanda had gone to work. Oops, name drop. So I knew she had gone to work, and so now I'm wondering, like, who's in my room? Like, who the fuck just pulled me out of bed? Because I'm about to kick your fucking dick in, right? I thought it might have been you or Jack, right? I stand up and, like, fucking stomp over to the light and flip the fucking light on, and there's no one in my room. So I, like, stomp out into the fucking rest of the basement, and there's no one in the rest of the basement. I'm like, oh, shit. And I was so goddamn tired that I remember just being like, fuck it, if I die, I die. And I go and I laid back down, and I just, like, pulled the cover over my head.
Jesus.
I was just like, fuck it, because I'd only been asleep for, like, an hour at this point. And I was like, yep, fuck it. And I went and laid back down, and I didn't really freak out about it until I woke up later. So, yeah, that happened. That's probably my most, like, violent interaction with something spooky like that.
Oh, dude. No. Okay, this is some scary shit.
Yeah, what do you got?
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just remembered it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you can ask Elizabeth about this. When I worked at the federal building, that building, the courthouse, it's fucking old. Like 1940s, 30s, something like that.
Yeah.
This is when it was built. And then the annex that was connected to it was built in the 1970s. And where the annex was built, supposedly, this is what I was told, there was like a halfway house right next to it, right? Sort of a place where they would, okay, well, you're out of prison or you're not going to jail, you can stay here till you get your shit together,
Yep.
And there was an elevator pit in it. So as you're basically in the basement, there were these machine rooms full of fucking giant ass air handlers and machinery, pumps, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was this one particular staircase. It split, would go up and go down. And when it went down, it was always dark in there. And then you round a corner, and then that's the bottom of the elevator shafts is right there. Uh-huh. And I could always feel something watching me from right in there.
Spooky shit.
All the time. And it would like make my fucking skin crawl.
Yeah.
Because I would have to go through it, because I was the last guy on the shift, and I would have to turn out all the lights. And it gets pitch fucking black in there.
Right.
So I'm like whistling to myself or like humming a tune or whatever.
Like, oh yeah, definitely not something watching me in the dark back there.
I'm scared of you. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit it. There were times where it would get like so strong that I would just take off fucking running.
Well, that's
Like-
the only thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terror would grip me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, what's fucked up
weird-
about like instances like that? It's like you can see spooky shit as an adult, and it doesn't always elicit that response, right?
right.
Like I don't know
Right,
what it
but
is
that-
about certain
yeah.
areas. I mean, maybe I don't know. What the fuck is that?
It's Artemis scratching
Oh.
himself.
Oh, spooky.
Spooks.
So the whole time I'm working there, weird shit starts to happen at the house. And, you know, Elizabeth is really into like witchy shit, and we got a friend Mike who's really into witchy shit, and things just started to feel kind of off around the house. Like our motion,
Get out your sage.
yeah, like our motion detector light that was overlooking the back of the house would just kick on randomly at night for no fucking reason. Cash my dog would get up and go to the window and just sit there and stare and then start barking. And the cats would just go fucking nuts every once in a while but you know, they're cats, whatever.
Right.
I was standing at the top of the stairs talking to Elizabeth about weird shit because I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would feel something staring at me from the corner of the bedroom. And it was like a really, really intense stare. And I used to have these really weird nightmares whenever this would happen.
Did you ever get sleep paralysis?
No, I've never had that, thank God. So I would get these feelings, you know, that someone was standing there watching me, and Elizabeth wasn't
These
sleeping worth a shit.
Special feelings, Jesse.
Yes, very special feelings that only a boy could get.
Yes.
But,
Tell me more.
So I'm standing at the top of the stairs, and then the bedroom was down the stairs because we lived in a split level, and then it opened up into this giant ass bedroom. And as I'm talking to Elizabeth, I'm like, there's some weird shit that has been going on around here. I turn to point downstairs, and I see someone's arm just like gently graze the chair and walk into the closet. And there was like long blonde hair, and I like froze, and I was like, you know what?
We gotta get the fuck out of here.
We're just gonna burn this house down and move to Mexico. This is what we're gonna do right now. But it was so weird because
Oh, man.
They will
my
follow
blood-
you.
yeah, my blood ran, and I think that's what was happening. Whatever the fuck this thing was following me from work, because after I quit that job, nothing. It stopped.
Nice
I
place
saw
you got
it.
here. It's pretty
Think I'll
nice.
stay.
Be a shame if someone fucked you in it.
But
I had a similar situation where I saw a hand and it belonged to no one that I was with.
oh my god, it was like, that's the weird part. My blood ran cold. I was just like standing there in shock, but I wasn't terrified. Like, I wasn't scared, which is the weirdest part about the whole thing. Like, I should have been like screaming, running into the street, but I was like, okay, that was weird. I'm just gonna act like I didn't fucking see it and move
Right.
on with my
Yeah.
life.
That's how I handle a lot of these things as an adult.
And maybe that's why we don't see it, but this is where it gets worse. Or this is where it gets weirder. So I'm talking to, like, I haven't said anything about this the whole time to Elizabeth, and then one day I bring it up to her. I'm like, look, I think that there's something fucking following me home from work. I know that sounds stupid, but there's like a spirit or something hanging out. And she's like, is it blonde? Long blonde hair. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm gonna go kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself, then I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna kill our dog.
Oh, remember that time I saw a guy at the library in Cape?
Yeah, dude. Remember we saw
Yeah.
that guy up in the fucking window?
Oh, yeah.
In that abandoned building?
Yeah. That was pretty
Yeah.
fucking weird. I mean, that could have been like a homeless guy or something, but
It could have been.
still
but
spooky. What a spoogston. Is there anything you're wanting to do, Catherine, before I unload a couple more?
I was going to talk about the burnt mill.
Yeah, go for it.
So are you guys familiar with that at all?
Somewhat. I've never actually been there,
Okay.
but
So-
you hear about it. You hear about it all the time.
Oh, you've never heard of it?
No,
Jesse?
I've never heard of it.
Okay. So, in classic small town likeness, we call it the burnt mill.
Mhm.
That is BURNT, because we are
No.
incapable of saying burnt.
No, it's BERNT. It's burnt.
Oh, yeah, burnt.
That boy's burnt.
Yeah. So, it's called the burnt
Sort
mill.
of like the noise
and
a
it
fart
is-
makes. Burnt. You know?
Burnt.
Yeah.
Burnt.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I gotta excuse myself
Like you're
to
barking
the
farts.
ladies' room. I'll be right back. You can continue.
Do you want me
can
to
continue.
wait?
You
Okay.
can continue. I'm
Okay.
familiar with the burnt mill.
Now's when we talk some
Okay.
mad shit.
I edit these, just so you know.
Oh. Whoops.
I will turn you into a babbling fucking idiot on here. Don't test me.
People know better. You know what? But full of witchy shit. It gets weirder. Fuck fart shit. Fuck fart shit.
Yeah, so, the burnt mill is the subject of legend and lore in Perryville. I would say out of every potential haunted place, it's the most notorious. It's kind of the place everyone goes at Halloween to, like, fuck around and hopefully see some shit. And everyone's got their own variation on the story as far as why it's haunted or what you're gonna see there. I think the most common story is that it's haunted by a girl in white and her name's like Mary or some shit, and if you turn your car off on the bridge it won't start, whatever. All the cliches rolled into one bullshit. But so it's this old brick mill at the base of a creek that literally did burn down a long time ago, and it was less than a mile from where I grew up as a kid. And my best friend for many years when I was a kid, her name was Christy, and she passed away this year, so rest in peace, Christy. But she lived in a house on the property of the burnt mill. Like, the burnt mill was on her property, excuse me. I used to go and spend a lot of time with her because we lived in the middle of nowhere and there was no one else for us to be around, and she was several years older than me, but we kind of like made do with each other. And she lived there with her grandma and her cousin, and occasionally her aunt lived there on and off. But they had this big old house and it was creepy as fuck, and she always had some insane story to tell me. It was my favorite thing. I'd go over and she would just tell me all the scary shit that had been happening to her and which ghosts she'd talked to. And so her grandma didn't like me very much. I'm not really sure why. She called me some bad names. And I was just an innocent child. But anyway, so we weren't allowed to go in the basement. It was strictly forbidden.
So I don't think that was the first time you were like the weird witchy seductress in your childhood, right?
Probably not. I don't really
Like you
remember
told me a
that,
couple
but-
times where you were like, "Oh no, their parents didn't like me." Like I was there to like.
I don't know. I did get that
Yeah.
sometimes. I don't know where
You've
that
told me
came
several
from.
stories.
I guess I was just a fucking weird
You were a
kid
witchy
who grew up
woman.
in the middle of nowhere.
Ooh, witchy woman.
So we weren't allowed to go in this basement, and we were told that it was because the house was built around another house. So, yes. And I know that doesn't make any sense, and as an adult, it still doesn't make a lot of sense. But, so if you go in the basement, because of course we snuck down there, the only way to get to it was through a trapdoor underneath a rug in the living room.
Nice.
Yeah, so we snuck in there one time when her grandma was gone. And you go down there, and it's just old, huge limestone bricks, the same ones that the mill is made out of. And there are walls that are crumbling, and there are hidden rooms behind the walls.
Okay.
Like, full-sized fucking rooms, creepy, dark, like, you can't see shit back there. Like, obviously why they...
That's the other house, right?
Yes. But the thing is, those rooms were walled in. It's not like a separate house was built around the house. Like, they just hid some rooms in the basement for whatever reason.
So do you think?
But so
So,
we
I
weren't-
think maybe there was like an original house built that was humongous, and then maybe they built a smaller house on top of it, and like used like just like got some different foundation going in the center of this other foundation. You think?
I don't know. I mean, who knows that? Or no one really knew. That's the thing.
Yeah, ain't nobody know about that.
So I'd go to her house. She'd tell me all these ghost stories. She had several, probably 5 or 6 different ghosts that she frequently said she interacted with. And she also said that no weird shit ever happened at the burnt mill, which I think is pretty interesting since everyone thinks that's where all the haunts are.
Right.
She had one ghost friend in particular who was a young man. She said he was attractive, but he had a gun wound to his head. Like, that's how he died. And it was just someone that would, like, hang out with her. I remember, like, they had this old room where that was her art room, and she said that he would hang out while they did paintings together. So a lot of weird shit happened there. As an adult, her cousin that lived there with her, I asked him if we could go and do kind of like a stakeout sort of thing and see if any weird shit happened. And that's when I saw the hand, like, grab the corner of this hallway as I walked past when no one was there. Yep. And I never had any weird stuff happen to me there as a kid, but as an adult, it was significantly more creepy. But just to give some background on the house itself, the mill was built, and they kind of weren't making any money off the thing. It was, this guy had built it, and he's like, you know what? You go, he told his son, he, like, gave his son a bunch of money. He was like, you go to St. Louis, and you purchase insurance for this house, or for the mill, I mean, and I'm going to burn it down, and we're going to collect the insurance money. So the son went to St. Louis, spent it allegedly on prostitutes and booze and gambling, or whatever the story may be. And when he came back home, and the mill had been burned down, the dad was so angry that he shot him in the head.
Nice.
In the head. And dumped the body in the pond on her property, where we used to, like, wade around in it and stuff. Now, that was the common story. Like, I've heard that story over and over again. What I found out later as an adult is that when her grandparents moved into that house, they were cleaning out the chimney for the fireplace, and they dislodged a brick inside the chimney and found a gun wrapped in a cheesecloth, hidden in there. And the story is that was the gun that was used to kill him. So who knows? But she hung out with a ghost that, yeah.
Whoa.
Right.
So, get this, right? This reminds me of something, okay? And it's something I discovered recently. It's something we're going to interact with our audience right now, okay? You can do this yourself, okay? So what you do is, I fucking discovered this the other day, alright? This is the ultimate fucking spoogston. So, it's going to be a new thing. Hashtag spoogston. 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 Yeah, we'll make it a thing. It's one thing I try to do anytime I'm on Instagram. If I make like I don't do it with every post, but most of my posts, I try to use a hashtag that's never been used before. And I guarantee Spoogston's never been used. We'll see.
We'll see.
So you take your name.
God damn it.
And you take the vowels. And you replace them with oodle. And it's fucking hilarious. Alright? Now tell me how spooky this is. So my name's Josh Hargrove, right?
That's pretty scary.
It's scary enough as it is, right? You oodle it up, and my fucking name turns into Judelash Hoodler Groodle Voodle. Alright?
I gotta pee.
Okay. While Catherine's gone, we're gonna tell you her name too. It's fucking Coodlet Boodly Oodler. Right? And what's yours, Jesse?
I don't remember. I'm really
Joodles Soodles Moodle Nagoodler. Whatever. It's fucking funny.
Well, weren't those some spooky tales from the dark side of the crib?
I know I'm spooked. God damn. Thoroughly spooked. Like someone bent me over and just fucking spooked me for a solid hour, you know?
It was me.
It was a relentless fucking furious spoog session.
A good spoogen does you.
Yeah, but you wait.
Does you a lot.
You wait until next Monday. That's when the spoogen's gonna get real spooky. We gonna oh god, it's been like a spooky volcano just building up. And we're just gonna spook all over the fucking place.
Everybody's just so fucking horny right now.
Yeah. We're just gonna.
Alright, guys, it's been fun.
All
See
right.
you on Monday.
Hang
Stay
on,
spooky.
gotta do song.
Oh,
So yeah, we're gonna end part 2 with a track from a group called Glass Divide. They didn't tell me jack shit about themselves. So the band's called Glass Divide. This is a track from their EP called Broken from the Start. You can find them on Facebook, and you can find them on glassdivide.bandcamp.com. This track, ironically, is pretty prevalent in today's society. It's called Trigger Warning. Here it is. Hashtag triggered.
Bye.
Okay, fuck off.
Okay, bye.